Here is a quick run through on some of the production and performance reports present on the individual system to help you understand what you can gain out of these specific reports. To view these, hit on the Reports tab on the left-hand side of the screen. And if you scroll past the individual animal records, you'll see here we've got our production reports. The first production report I want to look at is the lifetime animal performance. This report combines all of the information present for an individual once they leave the farm. So once you've sold an individual, they will then appear in this lifetime animal performance report. And as you can see, a lot of the information is the same as with all of the reports in terms of their visual ID, sex, breed, etc. But you can see here you're also starting to gain some of their purchasing information if they were purchased stock. So you can see where they're purchased from. You can also see the purchase pick, your purchase date, and your purchase price. As we scroll across to the right, you start to see some of the other specific information relating to their sales, such as who they were sold to and their sale price. And on top of this, you can also start to gain a little look at some of the turnover for those individuals, because you can see their days on farm. So for example, this individual here was on farm for 235 days and put on 275 kilos whilst on farm. You can also start to see what their overall lifetime gains were on farm from an ADG perspective. And then you can also start to see what your profit loss and your total costs associated with those individuals were. Again, if you're wanting to start to see what your specific profit loss is, you can see that figure down the bottom here, and you can also start to adjust the date range that you wish to view these specific reports at, whether or not that's by financial year or from January through to the end of the year, etc., or monthly. You've got those options within here. Again, we also have the customized column. For example, if the death details isn't a specifically relevant column for you, you can just go down to the bottom here and just deselect that, hit save, and you can see that that now has removed that specific column from the report. The other option you do have with some of these reports is you've got the export option in this top right-hand corner and the print option. So if you do want to say export this and add a little bit more financial information onto it, you're able to do that via the export icon there. Some of the other production reports include the livestock reconciliation report, which is an extremely important report that shows the fluctuating numbers of stock on farm for any given period of time, and also what has happened from a production standpoint. So as an example here, you can see you've got them broken down into their management groups and their enterprises, and you can start to see what your starting head count is, if you had any that were bought, any that were bred, etc. If I adjust my date range, for example, to say this year, to look at how we've gone since the start of January, you'll be able to start to see some more relevant information. As you can see here, you've got your management groups, enterprises, etc. You can customize these columns if you don't want to look at a management group or enterprise level and just go from an age class and breed perspective. Now that you're down to the age class level here, you can see that you've got your information from your starting head through to how many you were bought across that period. If you had any that were bred as well, your aged in, aged out just means that if you had any, say, weaning records that were applied or any other aging records, if they were adjusted between management groups, and then you also have any that were sold, if there were specific deaths that were recorded, and also if you have multiple farms on the account, if you were transferring any stock between these properties. At the final there, you can see your closing head as well. So this just gives you an idea of the starting and closing figures, and then what happened within your fluctuating stock on farm numbers throughout that period of time. Again, with these reports, you do have the customizable columns option and the group by functions as well, and you can adjust your date range if you wanted to, say, look at the livestock reconciliation report from a quarterly perspective or annually, or whatever figures that you decide to use and time frame you decide to use in that instance. Not only do we have that, we also have the on-farm animal performance report. So this is just for stock whilst they're still currently on farm, and again includes a few production metrics, such as looking at from here, all of your days reared, what your average daily gains have been like whilst on farm, your actual average daily gains, and several other bits of information, such as your total costs that are associated, if you had any treatment costs that are applied and things like that. So you can start to get an idea of what your production costs are like on farm whilst those animals are still present. And as I said, once they're sold, they will shift from this on-farm animal performance report into our lifetime animal performance report. We then also have a few of the DSE load by paddock and grazing intensity reports, which also allow you to start to look at some of your production and grazing metrics as well. And these will be talked about more so in some of our grazing pieces in the Academy course.